Really?
Both on Fnatic at the same time.
Oh, that's right. TT1 was on Fnatic with you and Lucifron and Sen.
And Kawhi Rice.
And Kawhi, oh.
And Phoenix.
That's right, Phoenix. Before he went to Incredible Miracle to train.
And then he just dropped off the face
and
of the
that's right. That's when Xeris was your manager.
Yes.
Wow. The old school Fnatic. Oh, the old days, Andre.
The old
Seems
days.
so long ago. Welcome to Daybreak, a map that's been introduced since December of 2011, where we will see a Protoss versus Protoss match. Starting in the bottom left, we have from Team Root Gaming. It is TT1, who last week faced off against the Muslim. And, you know, TT1 has been showing that he does do well in NASL. Hopefully he can kind of bounce back and really show a good showing in Season 4 here.
TT1 is one of those players that if he feels he can't win a game, he'll normally default to a lot of all-ins.
Did he tell you that?
Well, I've just seen that from his play, and he's been frustrated with PVZ for a very long time. That's why, for a while, he was only doing 2 base all-ins, and then he started playing macro, and he said, oh, it's a little bit more manageable, and then he went back to all-ins. Because he's like, nope, PVZ is imbalanced. There's no way I can win. No way.
Well, good thing he's not playing a Zerg. He's playing another Protoss on the top right from Team Fnatic. It is NightEnD. NightEnD, known for, I guess, just playing pretty standard, as well as his voice. Great guy. NASL sound guy can do a really good NightEnD. Just ask him if you ever see him. But of course, you may not be able to hear him, right?
No.
Because he's the NASL sound guy.
And look at this, TT1 now. I like this build coming out from TT1. It is one of the cooler builds. It's a double 15 actually, assimilator. That gives you a lot of options. He'll normally put 2 on each of these just to give him the ability to do either of those. But of course, NightEnD doing the ever so standard, just gateway cybernetics core. You can see the cybernetics core for NightEnD is slightly faster, but it's not really going to mean much. But this is something that I know Liquid Hero actually says, well, if I go 2 gases, your opponent doesn't know if it's going to be Stargate, Twilight Council, Dark Templar, you know, Robo, Colossus, Immortal Drop. The range is just so wide. That's why a lot of people have defaulted to this. And once they actually figured out the timings to beat something like a 4-gate, there's no reason not to go something like this.
Yeah, and I love the 2 probes in the gas, just against the kind of confuse your opponent, but now adding more probes onto it. And now NightEnD really has to be cautious, but of course this is PvP where you can get the most scouting off early on out of any mirror. TT1 going for a sentry instead of a stalker early on, which makes me do think he wants to go for his 1-gate expand build. But we'll see how he's going to fare off against NightEnd's choice of a Stargate early on.
Stargate's actually going to complicate things quite a bit. If this is another sentry, oh, it is Frodan. This is not good for TT1. You know, Phoenixes are just the big counter to early game sentries, because normally sentries, they're the ones that keep you safe in the early stages.
Yeah.
And when you invest so much into these sentries early on, you're giving up a lot of tech, robotics facility, or normally Twilight Council. And you're also giving up the ability to really, I guess, have any power as later game stages actually occur. And how you're supposed to do it is finesse. So you're supposed to use these force fields and the number of force fields to actually get the perfect position so you can take on anything.
Yeah.
And when you have Phoenixes, obviously that doesn't matter anymore, because these Phoenixes will just lift up, kill your sentries immediately, and then you're dead.
It's going to be really tough. Again, the bonus damage onto the sentries make them kill faster. TT1 still getting sentries out, so he doesn't have any way to really fight or to even chase down the Phoenixes for any additional DPS. Everything is looking really good for NightEnD, although, again, TT1 is expanding, and honestly, the Phoenixes can't do much in regards to that. TT1 also missing a force field to kill the Stalker.
Poor guy. 6 hit points left. Just 2 more shots from a sentry would have killed that. Unfortunate for him.
But now TT1's adding on more gates and his own Robo, which is a good start, a good transition from this point. I'll try to be a little bit more safe and grounded, but NightEnD instead, it looks like he's going to go for a 4-gate Phoenix attack. So this is going to be a savage all-in, where you use the Phoenixes to disable sentries so you can get up the ramp. Although TT1 does have a lot of sentries, so I guess he could force field the ramp and really protect it. Instead, TT1 looks like he's getting counter-aggressive. Is that really what he wants to do, Andre?
Not at all. I mean, basically, he's just gave up the game. There's no way that he can actually do anything. Okay,
no, he's rushing
thank
back.
God he actually went that, because there's no aggression that you can do. at this point in time. You don't have the robotics facility out in time to actually see some sort of defense or something to place the force fields properly. And now the Phoenixes are getting into this. This is the biggest build order counter we could possibly see for it. I mean, I do this style all the time. This is like my go-to build, and every time.
TT1 or NightEnD?
As NightEnD, as TT1.
Right, you expand really early.
I expand really early and rely on Sentry Immortal to defend against everything.
Yeah. Oh, now TT1 knows. He's got to defend the Phoenixes, but the Phoenixes take out the Sentries so quick, although Guardian Shield doing a decent job of forcing more hits on the Sentries. But disabling this is so strong. Now NightEnD has 4 gates pumping out units, still making Phoenixes though. Ooh. I don't know how many more Phoenixes he wants to squeeze out.
Yeah, you normally stop after 4 and just use them to obviously just disable a little bit more. Obviously, an Immortal is going to be the weapon of choice that you want to disable, but here we go. The aggression has started, and I feel like NightEnD is lacking a couple of Stalkers here.
Well, he does have a huge amount of Zealots, and he does have Phoenixes to disable. TT1 only has probes really to defend. The Zealots are targeting the probes also. The Phoenixes...
This is a little bit misplayed,
Frodan. These Phoenixes are not really disabling the right unit.
These should have been Stalkers instead of Zealots, but still looking like he's going to do a fantastic job. You can see just the power of everything over here. I mean, Phoenix plus ground units is just so powerful. And now he's going to start picking up the Immortals. And what can TT1 do from here?
He has no real answer, but TT1's still holding on as best as he can. Kind of needs to move back the Immortal as well. Finally starting to move it back. The Phoenixes are also getting very weak. TT1 still has a couple of Warpins coming in as well. It's getting very close. The second Immortal about to drop as well. The Zealots trying to chase it with all their mights. Oh my goodness. Immortal does drop.
Yes, he does. But you know what? The fact of the matter is, because he invested in all of these Phoenixes, the reinforcement waves are going to be so weak. And what can he actually go from here? He can't actually go Zealots. Why? Because the Zealots get picked up and get diced so fast. I mean, it is so easy to actually kill them. But there's a nice pickoff with that one Phoenix. Now, what he could do is actually drop them and surround them with a Zealot. But there it is, GG. TT1's going to tap out here. NightEnD takes the win, as we were talking about, the best build order counter to TT1, going a Sentry-centric style to actually defend his expansion.
Oh, I do know that TT1's been playing an insane amount of Heart of the Swarm, and I feel like with a 1-gate expo with a Mothership core, especially if you have to Purify on things, yeah, the Phoenixes will not be able to lift anything without taking massive damage. Like I think it's like 70 damage per shot from Purifier, something insane like that.
I thought it was 42.
Was it 40? Oh, sorry.
42.
Is 42?
Yeah.
Really?
I thought it was like it went from 24 to 42, but it decreased.
I thought
by
it went from like 35 to 70, like doubled it or something.
You might be right. I haven't actually.
It's something like insanely powerful, where like the Purifier can do a lot of damage, but that is Heart of the Swarm. And TT1, he's even openly admit he hasn't been practicing Wings of Liberty as much, but maybe his 1-gate expand if you're playing Heart of the Swarm. That's something that you want to do.
No, don't get me wrong. On Daybreak, that's a perfectly acceptable build. And you know what? Phoenixes are a little bit risky because if I go something like 1-gate Robo and into 3-gate expand, you're dead. Like the Phoenixes can't do enough damage because you mass them up for a while, maybe 4 Phoenixes, and then you kill maybe 4 probes, 5 probes, something around there, maybe 6 probes. But by that time, I already have my Nexus up. I already have 2 Immortals out. How can you really do enough damage against something like a 3-gate Immortal?
Well, TT1 gets picked apart by NightEnd's 4-gate Stargate play. We'll see what happens game number 2. That game was brought to you by Blizzard, the makers of StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty, and Heart of the Swarm, as well as lots of other great games. Diablo series I love. The Warcraft series, of course, is always awesome. Game number 2 between NightEnd and TT1 will continue right after this break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a minute.